The leadership of Ohaneze Ndigbo and the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, have denounced the killing of security personnel by unknown armed men in the southeast. On Thursday, 2 soldiers were killed by yet-to-be-identified gunmen at a military checkpoint at the Obikaba Junction in the Obingwa local councils of the state. President General of the Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, Chief Emmanuel Iwuanyanwu, after a meeting with Nnamdi Kanu, who is in the custody of the DSS, stated that Kanu was not behind the order for the sit at home. According to him, the senseless killing of security operatives by criminals does not enjoy the support of all right-thinking Igbos, the leadership of Ohaneze, as well as Nnamdi Kanu.
One, Nnamdi Kanu is not in support. Nnamdi Kanu is not in support of this question of law that people should people should start on today. He's not about it. I'm sad, very sad that in Igbo land, where I am now presiding as a leader, that some people can come and kill I hear 2 soldiers have been killed somewhere. These are people who are carrying the banner of Nigeria. These are people who have brought out their life for us. And it is very sad. We regard it as a criminal matter. Igbos are not happy about it, and we are very sad about it. Nnamdi Kanu is not happy about it. And in fact, this is the more reason why we plead that our President Tinubu should take political action to release him. Because if he is released, nobody will now have any excuse whatsoever. We will now know who is a criminal and who is not a criminal.
The death toll from the May 15 bombing of a mosque at Gadam village in Gezawa local government area of Kano State has risen to 21. This comes after 4 more victims of the incident died, raising the figure to 21 from the 17 reported last week, Tuesday, May 21st. The chairman of Friends of the Hospital, Alhaji Baturi Abdulaziz, revealed that the latest development on Thursday. Now, a total of 25 early morning worshippers were injured in the mosque bombing attack. While 1 person died on the date of the incident, 20 have died at the Muhammad Specialist Hospital, Kano, where they had been receiving treatment, leaving only 4 surviving. The 38-year-old man, Shafi'u Abubakar, had attacked the mosque with a locally fabricated bomb, injuring many. 10 people have been rescued after a 3-story building collapsed in the Isaleko area of Lagos State on Thursday. The structure, alleged to have been defective, gave way following a fire in parts of Dosumu Market on Lagos Island. The Lagos Territorial Coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Ibrahim Farinloye, who confirmed the incident, said 14 other buildings were seriously impacted by the fire. While providing an update about the incident to News Central, Director of Operations, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Olarinde Akinsonya, said the Permanent Secretary of the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Olufemi Damilola Okeosanyotolu, led the rescue efforts. News Central correspondent Niyi Omoni was on the site of the building collapse earlier and gave us an update.
So far, so good, as spoken or information given to us yesterday by the Lagos State Emergency Management Authority that there's going to be a ground zero operation as at this morning. Well, a few minutes ago, there was an heavy downpour, so of course operations couldn't start. But as we can see, there are few members of the Lagos State Building Control Agency trickling in, and of course, I'm trying to check their equipment. I want to believe that the ground zero operation will begin shortly. Now, let me quickly explain what the ground zero operation is like. They are going to clear the rubbles here and move everything that is in there out so that that place will be completely plain and people can probably apply it. Now, as to what else would happen to the buildings just right beside it, for now, we do know that people are still there living, and I'm not sure they've been given any sort of information as to if the building will be coming down or not. But we do know that this place is going to be cleared in a few minutes. Those are the informations I have for you right now.
Now to security matters. The Secure Nigeria group has called on the federal government to rise up to the responsibility of ensuring the security of both lives and property of her citizens, especially in Plateau State. The group, led by Barrister Redzi Jugo, was speaking in Jos during an event to call for the National Day of Mourning for 30 people killed 7 years ago in Nkendoro area of Basa local government area of Plateau State. News Central's Chizoba Anyonwe tells us more.
The Global Rights and Initiative for Peace, Justice and Development, as well as many other non-governmental organizations, have continued to call for justice for the lives of innocent people during attacks in the state. Leader of the group regretted that food security, which has resulted from insecurity in some parts of the state, may continue to linger because of poor agricultural practices if nothing is done to bring back peace on the plateau. The prayers of Secure Nigeria Group, among others, is that compensation be paid by the federal government, as well as culprits brought to book to serve as deterrent to others.
Not only will be the culprits fished out, punished appropriately, but that compensation be paid to each and every head that died on that day. For all the men, women, and children, we ask that ₦1 billion each for every death that occurred in Nkendoro should be sent as compensation. And make no mistake, it is not going to be able to bring those people back. We know that. But how else would the federal government be able to show that it means well for its people?
The group called on the Nigerian military to do all within its powers to flush out the bad eggs within its system for more effectiveness in the fight against insurgency.
All the job, all the work that the Nigerian army is doing, and which is very commendable. Whatever it is that is being done, we have a few bad eggs that are spoiling the work that is being done. And we say today that till those people are held accountable, that there will be no peace the way we want it in Nigeria. There's a lot that has been going on in Plateau State, in the Middle Belt, and in Nigeria. But except you are bringing those who are complicit to book, the war against terrorism in Nigeria and in Plateau State will not be able to end.
They further called for a national day of mourning for the victims, while a signpost engraved with the names of the 30 victims of the tragic incident 7 years ago was later unveiled and mounted at the middle of Nkendoro in memory of them. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
Away from that, the Israeli government has pledged stronger ties with Nigeria, promising to roll out projects that will reduce unemployment and help the current administration achieve its renewed hope agenda. Now, this was as officials from the Israeli embassy and members of the diplomatic community marks the 76th anniversary of the State of Israel in Abuja. Amadin Uyi reports.
It was a night out with members of the diplomatic community as part of the celebrations to mark the 76th year anniversary of the State of Israel. The Israeli ambassador to Nigeria says that Israel has made much progress and should be commended for its achievements.
In order to be a realist, you have to believe in miracles. And the reality is that we believe in miracles. Israel is a miraculous country. For 76 years, we've made the desert bloom. We've turned Israel into a prosperous, modern, fantastic economy. It's a leader in the world in water management, in agriculture, in high tech, in defense and security, in health, in education, in all of those things in 76 years. And I'm sure the next 76 years and the next years after that will be even more successful.
While he pledged the commitment of the Israeli government to continue to partner with Nigeria Others present say there is much Nigeria can learn from Israel.
Israel and Nigeria have had amazing ties for 60 years. We are really excited to go forward, and over the next couple of months, you're going to hear us announce about IFAIR 4, our amazing IFAIR program for training young Nigerian entrepreneurs. We're going to be doing some work on agriculture. We're going to be holding a conference on agriculture and water. We're going to be working in high tech. We're going to be announcing a conference, we hope, next year looking at using human capital and helping meet President Tinubu's goal of 1 million jobs in the digital economy. So together, I am convinced Nigeria is a good friend of Israel, Israel's a good friend of Nigeria, and together we're going to do some amazing things for the benefit of all Nigerians, of all Israelis, and for all of our children and grandchildren. So I'm very excited.
Nigeria can learn that when a nation decides to put its head to be successful, they will. In spite of difficulties, challenges, as you know, there was for a long time, all the nations around Israel were out to crush them and sweep them into the sea. They stood firm among themselves. And in 76 years, they have been able to do a lot. But I hope you know, and I believe everybody knows, that there is no nation exactly like Israel.
The former Catholic Archbishop of Abuja, who was also present, urged Nigerians to unite like the Israelis, despite our differences.
The Israelis are very united, though. There is no room they have no room to start dividing themselves. Even though they have political parties that don't think the same way, but when it comes to what concerns the security and the survival of Israel, they are very united. We have a lot of things too, which we as Nigerians should be very united over.
The Israeli government says it also intends to invest in Nigeria's sports sector and will roll out several football projects in the near future. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadin Uyi.
Now, Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, says it has recorded over 9.5 million visits to its office from students in federal tertiary institutions regarding the student loans since it opened its portal last Friday. The fund has also received over 6,000 applications regarding the loan. While briefing the press at the post-application launch conference on Thursday, the managing director of the fund, Akintunde Sawyer, said over 90% of federal tertiary institutions have submitted the data of their students, with about 5 institutions remaining. He also revealed that in 3 weeks, the fund will democratize the loans following the outcry of students in state-owned tertiary institutions, thereby opening its portal for students in state institutions to apply for the loan. Sawyer urged the authorities of the state tertiary institutions to begin to submit the data of its students to ensure that the process is seamless. Nigeria's Center for Disease Control and Prevention says it has concluded plans to leverage genomic sequencing technology for the quick detection of disease outbreak in Nigeria. The Director General of the center, while inaugurating the National Genomic Sequencing Consortium in Abuja, says that the new technology has tremendous advantages over traditional methods of disease detection, which allows diseases to spread. Marvelous Obomanu reports.
Sequencing technology can help with the quick detection of disease outbreak, thus preventing epidemics that have untold effects on citizens. With Nigeria set to adopt the technology in early disease detection and prevention, health experts believe this is the right way to go. With Nigeria's federal government now inaugurating a national genomic sequencing consortium, it is expected that the consortium will help in coordinating and overseeing the implementation and monitoring of Nigeria's genomic surveillance strategy and bolster health security in the country.
We can use the science for a lot of things. One of them is how to detect this disease, how to trace the various causes, how they are transmitted, so that we can react quickly in curbing this outbreak. But more importantly, it also has other importance. Talking of personalized medicine, you not only use it for infectious disease, you can use it for non-communicable diseases, hypertension, diabetes. If you recollect again, sickle cell,
At Africa CDC, we recognize the transformative power of genomics surveillance in detecting, responding to, and preventing infectious diseases and relevant pathogens in the continent. We are proud to support and stand alongside Nigeria CDC in this groundbreaking endeavor, which will undoubtedly strengthen not only Nigerians' health security, but also contribute to the broader health landscape across the continent.
The consortium says that it will oversee genomic surveillance across multiple health sectors using a One Health approach.
At the centenary anniversary of National Veterinary Research Institute, the minister and his principals, that's the chief veterinary officer, were there to launch a national pathogen repository. Now, this is to affirm our commitment to genomic development, bearing in mind that more than 70% of human pathogens are from animals.
The next thing is to make sure that we operationalize what is necessary to make it work under the leadership of the NCDC.
This, they believe, will enhance biosecurity measures, reinforcing Nigeria's health security framework. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
Thank you, Marvelous, for that report. Now, in a step towards destigmatizing menstruation and improving menstrual hygiene practices in Nigeria's northeastern region, the water, sanitation and hygiene sector has launched a comprehensive training program for students. This followed calls by UNICEF and other stakeholders on government and policymakers to increase investments and prioritize the management of menstrual hygiene as a key public health issue. News Central's Umar Kirawa completes the report.
The initiative, implemented in partnership with some schools, focuses on educating both female and male students on the importance of menstrual health and the proper management of menstruation.
I've learned how to take care of myself and how to do so many things, and I want to do this to teach my younger ones.
Through interactive sessions and practical demonstrations, students are equipped with essential knowledge and skills to ensure their well-being during menstruation.
We're very, very much happy to see you people have intervened in this kind of menstrual hygiene. It is the role of parents, but now it's the role of everybody.
The sector, through an assessment and verification, is able to provide the supplies to the community, and especially targeting the young girls to support them with menstrual hygiene.
Experts say investing in menstrual health is not just about providing pads and tampons. It is about ensuring that girls or women have access to accurate information, safe and affordable menstrual products, and the necessary infrastructure to manage their menstrual cycles with dignity.
In 93 schools, we have been able to reach out with training programs on menstrual hygiene management, and then we have trained about 330 girls in these schools on issues of MHM. We have also trained about 321 women on MHM, and also trained them on how to make pads and how to make soaps.
Prioritizing menstrual hygiene by the government is believed to have a profound impact on the overall well-being of individuals, particularly women and girls.
We are trying to provide water and sanitation facilities in schools so that girls are able to manage menstruation well. We are trying to provide hygiene education in the schools, which means not just of teachers but also of for the girls. And we are also trying to ensure that soaps are available, that water is continuously available for washing hands.
Sustained sensitization on social and cultural taboos surrounding menstruation with encouraged open discussions is believed to reduce stigmatization to its lowest ebb. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Gender rights advocates in Nigeria have called on women nationwide to speak out against gender-based violence in order to end the scourge in the country. Now, this was during the inauguration of the 5 women peace ambassadors in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, expected to help raise awareness against gender-based violence and encourage women to speak out. Marvelous Opomanu has more on this.
Available data suggests that over 27,000 cases of gender-based violence were recorded in 5 states of the Federation, including the Federal Capital Territory, between 2020 and 2023. However, between September 2023 to October of the same year, about 25,000 cases were documented, revealing a sharp rise, as gender stakeholders converge on the nation's capital from across the nation. Many say that effecting a community-based approach will help reduce recorded cases.
As you can see, it's because it bothers us. That is why we gathered here. We are trying to find a way, the best way that this problem can be eliminated totally from our society.
One stakeholder present, the 1,000 peace ambassadors of Nigeria, say they are engaging 500 women and girls across the country to become advocates of women's rights in their communities.
They will be going on a community engagement. We are going to give them an appointment letter and an ID card as a girl, woman advocate in partnership with the United Nations and IPCR. They are going to their communities to onboard females that will actually raise and amplify the voices of other voiceless females.
The first thing is awareness, because if the girls are aware of what's happening in the society, they would definitely run for help or run for cover, because advocates for awareness is very educational.
Having pedophiles, having intimate partner violence, and a lot of things that is done, to violate the rights of a woman or a child is bad. But I think proper legislation can help us, and we also need the support of traditional authorities so that we can do away with all these harmful traditional practices.
The uncles will be touching, the uncles or the sisters will be touching either of your private parts. They'll be touching different kinds of things they're not supposed to touch on your parts of your body. My advice for them is that no violence occurs for them, and they should run away from whoever wants to molest them.
Experts say increasing the awareness of gender-based violence can go a long way in helping women put behind a culture of silence. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
Educational stakeholders in Nigeria have called on President Bola Tinubu to commence the implementation of the nation's education roadmap for 2024 to 2027. This was as they met in Suleja, Niger State, where they raised an alarm on the alarming state of girl-child education in the country, saying that the nation's educational sector does not provide adequate skills for the girl child to contribute to the society. Amadin Uyi reports.
With over 18 million out-of-school children, experts say Nigeria is in a dire situation. They say this figure represents a stark reality of the situation on ground, as many of those out of school are girls.
Nigeria has an alarming 18.3 million children out of school. The figure, already staggering, does not account for those who are out of senior secondary school, suggesting that the actual number of children deprived of education is even higher. Among these out-of-school children, girls are disproportionately affected due to socioeconomic barriers, cultural practices, and early...
While many of them converge on Suleja in Niger State to review the state of girl-child education in the country, they say despite many girls being out of school, those in school are not provided with fundamental skills needed to contribute to the society. They also add that Nigeria's educational sector does not provide girls with adequate literacy skills.
Over 70% of children fall into this category. These statistics reflect the dire state of Nigeria's education system, where even those in schools are not acquiring fundamental skills. The implication is that millions of children, especially girls, are not being equipped with the basic literacy skills necessary for their future.
Education of our girls is not just a policy issue or just a human rights requirement. It is actually a moral imperative. It is about ensuring that every girl in Nigeria has the opportunity to reach her full potential, to contribute to her community, and to help build a stronger and more prosperous nation.
They called on President Bola Tinubu to support Nigeria's education roadmap for 2024 to 2027. They also urged the federal government to budget more funds for the nation's education sector.
It is therefore important to put Nigeria on track in line with Nigeria's commitment to spend 4% of its GDP and 22.5% of its national budget on education by 2025 and maintain this up until 2030. We are urging President Bola Tinubu to key into the education for renewed hope, the roadmap for the Nigerian education sector 2024 to 2027 by aligning their state education sector plans to important focal areas in the roadmap.
They add that government must invest in making schools safe in the country, especially for the girl child. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Now let's head to South Africa, where as votes continue to be tallied after a hotly contested general election with ANC majority on the line, some young South Africans in Johannesburg have expressed their hope for change. If President Cyril Ramaphosa's party is confirmed as dropping below 50%, it would force him to seek coalition partners to be re-elected to form a new government. This would be a historic evolution in the country's democratic journey.
I voted well. I voted for different party. Hopefully it's going to change. The people in power hopefully are going to come down and we're going to have a new political party.
My experience, it was just fine. But the way I see it, I see that there will be changes regarding provincial elections, things like that. I see that the difference is there because I was looking also the results in 6 a.m. in the morning. I see that DA is winning via the Gauteng side, and that's what I was expecting.
Zambia's former First Lady, Esther Lungu, and her daughter, Chieso Katete, have been arrested over possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Authorities say the two were arrested on Thursday in the capital, Lusaka, alongside another close relative identified as Charles Fidi. The Drug Enforcement Commission said in a statement that Ms. Lungu, 66, was arrested on suspicion of fraudulently acquiring a luxurious real estate, while her daughter was faced with additional charges of acquiring another 3-flats estate in Lusaka, suspected to have been bought fraudulently. Now, former President Edgar Lungu said the family will challenge the charges in court. He has been accusing the government of victimizing him and members of his Patriotic Front party to block his return to politics ahead of the 2026 elections. Civilians were fleeing on Thursday as Rwanda-backed M23 rebels closed in on another strategic town in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The March 23 movement resumed its armed campaign at the end of 2021, seizing swaths of territory in the North Kivu province. The Congolese army has tried to push back against the rebel group, which has almost entirely encircled Goma, the capital of North Kivu province, where hundreds of thousands of displaced people have sought shelter. The rebels were now closing in on a town of Kanyabayonga, which is on the road to Goma. Now, Goma lies on the way to the key cities of Butembo and Beni and is home to about 60,000 people. That's apart from tens of thousands of displaced people who are sheltering there. Now, going back to South African elections, where young voters actually hope for change after general polls, we have an update, and we're being joined by News Central correspondent Bongani Siziba. Hello, Bongani. Thank you so much for joining us.
Dashan, good to see you again.
Good to have you again, Bongani. Now, what updates do you have for us regarding the election?
Quite a different atmosphere from yesterday. Today, the mood is a bit calmer. Yesterday, we could see fears from political parties. I was looking around. I saw the Secretary General of ANC moving around today with smiles all over his face, something that he couldn't do yesterday. But when I look at the numbers on my left on the screen, ANC is still leading in many places, but one notable party that is causing a little bit of controversy is the MK, because when I look at the screen now in national ballot, MK is over 1 million and way above EFF. EFF that we know as the third opposition party in South Africa. But what does this mean? It means that if it continues like this, MK will be taking over that position of being the third opposition party in South Africa. But let me just quickly bring in some political party members who are here just to tell us how they are feeling when they are looking at the screen. I have Roy Moodley, African Movement Congress leader, who is here. Thank you for joining us here at News Central TV. How are you feeling?
Oh, thanks. I'm actually very happy this process is going on very well. And I'm glad to see that everybody's come today better than yesterday. But as the process goes on, let's see what happens. My name is Roy Moodley from African Movement Congress.
Let's talk about EFF. I know you're not from EFF. Where it stands now, EFF seems like people didn't vote EFF, but we saw a lot of supporters filling in the stadium. What do you make of these results that we are seeing there?
You know what? Anybody can fill the stadium. You know, people from the same party go to all the stadiums because they're going to collect the T-shirt, and the people are hungry, they go for meals. But that doesn't mean to say that those people that fill the stadium are going to vote for that particular party. So if you give good food and things like that, people will come and fill up the stadium. But coming back to EFF, I think they are struggling a bit. I didn't expect to see that numbers on the board. At least I expected to see more than that, but nevertheless, only 60% of the votes has been counted. And let's see at the end of the day what happens.
Are we safe to say MK now is the third opposition party in South Africa?
Yes, now, as we stand now, MK is the third official opposition. But I think as the time goes on, maybe the results will change. But definitely for now, MK is a party that is standing third on the list.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Let me just bring in Feroz Nadia, who's also for El Jamaa. How are you feeling looking at the board? How is El Jamaa doing?
We continue to do much better than we have in previous elections. The numbers, we are happy with how it's going. We're keen to see what the rest of the 40% will look like when it does come through. But it is encouraging the trajectory of the particular numbers as we're seeing them appear on the board.
Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, those were smaller parties. Here, some of the contesting smaller parties. They are excited about what they are seeing because they are making progress from 5 years ago. But the numbers for ANC, they are leading, yes, but not as what everyone expected. It's back to you in the studio, Darshan.
All right, thank you so much, Bongani, for that update. Now on World Rap, prosecutor Alvin Bragg says the jury has spoken after former U.S. President Donald Trump was found guilty on all charges at his hush money trial in New York. The Manhattan District Attorney, Bragg, told reporters that their job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor. He also added that there are many voices out there, but the only voice that matters is that of the jury, and the jury has spoken. Now, to further discuss this, I'm being joined by global affairs analyst Collins Mweke. Hello, Collins. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Thank you, Darshan, for having me.
All right, now barely 5 months ahead of the election where he seeks to return to the White House, Donald Trump has been found guilty of all 34 charges in his hush money case. Now, the first of its kind in the country's history, if I must say. Go ahead and tell us, what do you make of this?
Extraordinary, unprecedented event, Darshan. America hasn't seen this before. But you see, Donald Trump, his life, particularly his political life, has been dotted with extraordinary and unprecedented events. So this wouldn't be the first time that, he appears to be defying gravity. Now, the conviction itself, on all counts, 34, like you mentioned, in itself does not tell a complete story. What will tell a complete story, Darshan, is what happens afterwards. Because imagine a scenario where a former president and a candidate to become the next president of the United States of America has this to his name, yet he goes into the election on the 5th of November and wins the presidency of the United States of America. I mean, just imagine that. So that is actually going to be the defining moment of this conviction that he has had.
All right. Now, but what does this mean? What does this development mean for the United States, as this case seems to thrust the country into uncharted political territory?
It means many things for the United States of America. I mean, the conviction of Donald Trump as a felon, of course, awaiting confirmation because he still has to be sentenced, and technically speaking, he can't truly be considered a felon, but that is what, the jury has found. Now, essentially, what it tells the United States of America and the rest of the world is that no one, not a single person, is above the law. And we have seen how the jury system in America has worked in this particular instance. We have seen the foot drag and all the delay tactics and so on and so forth, and how much, he has used his wealth to, ensure that this is delayed and that justice doesn't finally come. But ultimately, because of the strength of the American justice system, the strength of its institution, all that Donald Trump has thrown against the American democracy, have one way or the other bounced back. But he is not giving up. And so cases of this nature continue to, test the strength or the weakness of...
All right, Collins. Now, if you remember, since the beginning of the trial, Trump has actually described it as a witch hunt, from the opposition to stop him from contesting, the elections. And he also labeled the guilty verdict as a disgrace. What are your thoughts on this?
My thought is that that is typical Trump, speaking. He will always find one way or the other to use rhetorics, to wriggle himself out of the tight corners that he happens to be the one actually putting them himself. Now, this is far from a witch hunt. People might question, how justified it is to, bring a candidate for the presidency, a former president, to trial at the time that they did. But those are beside the point. The main point here is that somebody did what he was not supposed to do, and the long arm of the law is catching up with him. This is no witch hunt. This is simply justice playing out.
All right, well, thank you so much, Collins Nweke, for joining us and speaking to us on this.
Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Welcome back. Now, in the world of sports, the general manager Isa Lawal Saulawa of the Nigeria Rugby League has announced the kickoff date for the 2024 season. The Rugby Supremo announced June 24th for the start of both conferences. The Southern Conference will have over 5 teams set to participate. Significantly, each of these teams will field squads in the men's, women's and under-19 categories, underscoring the league's commitment to inclusive growth and development across all levels of the sport. Officials are dedicated to ensuring that both regions provide thrilling and competitive rugby experiences. Now, the simultaneous participation of men's, women's and under-19 teams is being hailed as a monumental boost for developing rugby, that's the rugby league, throughout Nigeria. Akani Simbine finished just off the world lead en route to victory in the men's 100 meters at the Oslo Diamond League stop. Now, the South African's 9.94 was just shy of Christian Miller's 9.93, helping him to victory on Thursday in a loaded men's field that featured reigning Olympic champion Marcel Jacobs. The Italian looked strong but finished in 4th place with a 10.03, with Abdul Hakim Sani Brown at 9.97 and Emmanuel Eseme at 10.01, going 2-3. It's a second Diamond League triumph for Simbine this season, who also captured the title in Suzhou, People's Republic of China on 27th April, where he clocked a 10.01. Jacobs has plenty to feel positive about ahead of the European Championships in Rome next month, 7 to 12 June, with his 10.03, which is his fastest time since 2022. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Ohaneze Ndigbo leader says Nnamdi Kanu not behind killing of soldiers in Abia State in Nigeria's southeast. We also told you that civilians flee as M23 rebels close in on another town in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Finally, you heard that Zambia's ex-First Lady Esther Lungu and daughter arrested over property acquisition. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.